Hello, church. I wanted us today to be thinking about what Jesus was doing between Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. I wanted us to think about that day when he was in Jerusalem with his disciples and he began teaching them about what was truly important. Remember, he's there with his disciples and he looks over and they're taking an offering. And there's the rich that are coming and putting in out of their abundance. They're putting money into the treasury. And then this woman walks by and she has 2 pennies. And she throws them into the offering. And Jesus looked at his disciples and said, "That woman put in more than all the others." Now I got to tell you that I'm sure the disciples looked at Jesus like he was crazy. What could he possibly mean? And yet Jesus had something very important to teach those disciples. And he said to them, you see, most are putting in out of their abundance. Their gifts to God come from their abundance. But she put in all she had. It was a real sacrifice for her. Now that left an impression on the disciples because that's a story we still tell today. But then something else, I think maybe even more important to us today, happened. They were standing outside the temple, this magnificent building on the mountaintop where the smoke from the sacrifices was always billowing out, and there was people moving in and out and prayers being said and all kinds of worship and celebration. And the disciples said, "Look at these magnificent buildings." And Jesus said, "Do you know something? It won't be long before the day will come when this magnificent building, not one stone will be on top of another." Be careful what you value most. You see, Jesus knew that they were about to be challenged, and he spent time in those days teaching them about being wary of those that looked out for themselves, that took care of themselves and wanted people to look at them. He pointed oftentimes to the religious leaders of the day, the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes, and he challenged them. It wasn't that they were all bad, but many of them had lost their focus. And so Jesus wanted the disciples to understand that it was extremely important to keep their eyes and their focus upon God. And so today I want to challenge you to ask yourselves, what is it that's important? What is it really in my relationship with God that's important today? I think that's a vital question for us. We're in this season where we can't worship in ways that we think is appropriate. And yet Jesus, oftentimes we find, challenged why people did what they did. He really wasn't saying that what they did was wrong, because it wasn't. But it was the heart with which they came. And one of the things that he was going to challenge his disciples the most on was, in those coming days, he was going to teach them about what was really important, about caring about people. And so today, I wanted us to think about, what is it that's important to us? How important is the buildings to us? But most of all, how important is our relationship with God? How about you? How's your relationship with God today? What does God see as your priorities in the world? And how is it expressed? Because the day will come, as we're going to see, when that's how God will judge us on how we've treated others. So on this journey today, might you and I be blessed as we enter into the presence of the Holy.